Hey there. Just wanted to film a quick reminder and express a few little points and vent a little bit. Just thought I would let you know that they don't want you to succeed in life. They don't want you to realize the power from within that you have, and they certainly don't encourage your hopes and dreams to come true. And by they, I mean almost everybody. That's just a sad fact of the world. People don't wish each other well. People are bitter, hateful, jaded, and let me explain why. It's because many of us have become privy to too much in this world, and it's been because of the introduction of neural monitoring, gang stalking activity, and life interference. All of this has been achieved, this hive mind, by the manipulation of people because of what we all know about each other. The invasiveness of this remote neural monitoring that takes place, it makes you privy to everything. There's no way to not know the truth about something if you are monitoring a human being. Then you know exactly what their innermost thoughts are. You know exactly what to use against those people, and you know exactly what their hopes and dreams are so you can crush them, and you know exactly what their fears are so you can prey upon them. So I find it disturbing that I'm one of the only few people that have ever really brought up this subject that I can come across that are willing to relate and correlate it to the spiritual phenomenon that's happening concurrently. It's happening at the same time. It's because one thing, it's like a chicken and egg thing. I'm not sure what came first. The implementation of this toxic, horrible behavior and this conspiracy and this cult behavior. Not sure if that came first because of spiritual inhabitation or the other way around. At any rate, it is the work of evil, and it is coursing through the lives of so many people that it's just a phenomenon that I myself find the need to document and film, and I realize that I'm going to be heavily censored. I mean, come on, they don't want this type of truth to ever be spoken or be known about, so therefore they're going to encourage it. That's the nature of a cult mentality in the hive mind, is to stifle the flow of information that might cause us to awaken and see things for what they are and do things against what they want. Because if somebody's taking control of your life, just understand they don't want the best for you. They want the worst for you, especially if you're not going to be compliant and obedient. They are going to make your life a living hell. I think about my spiritual ancestors and what they endured, and it is a similar thing. Trust me, we are going through a similar time period, and there never really hasn't been a time period that has been free of this type of oppression. Think back to the 60s and like beatniks. They were counterculture. They weren't accepted or embraced. They were persecuted. Think back to World War II. There was seriously a problem then too with people that were drunk with power and were quite evil. That was a theme then too. It's a theme now. We just don't talk about it. We can't wage a war against something that we don't talk about, which is why they're encouraging silence. They're using any form of manipulation to prevent people from ever actualizing their own enlightenment. Like, we have rights, but they're instilling in us and controlling our minds in the sense to think that we don't, and to get conditioned into the idea that we must be subservient to a power structure that is silent but quite real. So keep that in mind. This is spiritual warfare. I won't view it as such. I just wake up and go to work like everybody else, but the rest of my time is spent thinking about this and remembering that I am different than everybody else, because I see all this for what it is, face value. I've thought about every little thing I can. I'm a ponderer and I'm a thinker, and that's why they try to torture me and keep me from living. This is a phenomenon that's heavily affecting people like me, sentient people who actually feel and experience a lot of emotions. They're going to not only prey upon our emotions, but they're going to try to control our behavior and make us feel unafraid to be ourselves because of our environment being manipulated. I fully realize that the people around me, many of them just aren't even people. They're not. Like, they don't think like human beings. They may appear to be a normal human being in passing, the pleasantries that they exchange, but deep down behind closed doors, they are not the same people. I mean, it's a phenomenon that is highly obvious to people like me, but it's not so obvious to everybody else. And to be completely bluntly honest with you, they don't emote like people, and they have sociopathic tendencies that have been preyed upon because they've been introduced to too much information in the world. So they have become what they are now, and they are like sadists who see your hopes and dreams and aim to crush them, especially if it means covering up their activities. This is a Luciferian activity that takes place, and it's encouraging that we normalize harming each other and never being real with each other about it. That's the nature of this. When a toxic, malignant narcissist is getting into your mind and into your life, they're trying to instill a lack of values and a lack of morals and a lack of ethics that will guide you into nothing but hellfire. So keep that in mind. This is a spiritual phenomenon that you need to see for what it is. And expect that if you do the right thing, you probably will get punished by them for it, because they don't like anything good, pure, or holy. They admonish the truth, and they want nothing but lies that are going to get harder and harder to justify telling to placate the masses. They want to subdue you and keep you from getting too riled up. They only want you riled up whenever you can't do anything about it, to test your nerves and character. So keep passing the character test and don't let them wear you down, because they don't care what happens to you. I don't even know you if you're watching this. Odds are I may not even know you, but I care more about what they're doing to you than probably you can even care out loud about it, which is crazy. But that's why people like me are on this planet. We are light workers. We are different, and we have different sets of abilities that set us apart that we can't just come out and tell the average person about. So I want people like that to get to know me, because I've figured out a lot. I've had a lot of extra time to think since they love the idea of isolating and repressing me and depriving me. I've just used that time to reflect and to gain a mindset and to cultivate a new identity, at least internally for myself. And I don't care if anybody doesn't agree with me, because I'm quite sure of myself. I reach to the light, and the light reached back to me in a big way. And I would love to tell somebody about that, but people just can't seem to get to know me in person in my environment. It's a dead space full of warm bodies, and it's like they orchestrate it to be such to really torture intellectual people and people that have original thoughts like myself, to drive us to suicide. That's ultimately what this type of activity does, and nobody wants to talk about it in my arena at all. Go figure. I wonder why that is. Anyway, I'm going to keep trying to battle the status quo. They're just going to keep censoring me, and there seems to be a lack of communication and comprehension in this world that is a result of their interference and their control and their manipulation. So keep fighting the status quo, and my whole thing is, when it's all said and done, I want my epitaph to read that I fought back. And even if that means me being a martyr at some point, I don't even care. I don't even care. I'm not living for this life. I'm living for the life that comes after this life. So that needs to be everybody's fucking thought processes, but it's not. People are sucked into the matrix. We all have to uphold and maintain some semblance of normal, keep our nerves about us. But if you don't make time to vent and get it out, like I'm doing right now at least, then what the fuck are you really doing with your time? Do you not see the big picture? Perhaps you need to do some reflecting. But at any rate, I think being civilly disobedient is one thing, but I think this is going to drive the devil out of people at a certain point. They're not going to like having their backs against the wall and have you taking every ounce of their happiness and freedom from them. They're going to fight back in a big way, and I predict that the Cold War of the mind that this truly is for intellectual people and people who feel and think is going to become an actual holy war at some point in our lives in the tribulation period. So marinate on that. And hopefully we can form an actual dialogue that's progressive, because they're not going to want anything too productive or progressive to come out of us ever. They want us to all suffer silently, endure misery, and thank them for it. So fuck that logic. Don't ever do that. So keep fighting the good fight. Later on.